friends. So I think that aside from the check is in the mail, one of the biggest lies out there is that we need closure when something ends badly. It's a lie that we tell ourselves too, which makes it tricky. I mean, we can't help it when other people lie to us, but when we do it to ourselves, somehow that becomes acceptable. That's a topic that we're going to talk about in a podcast episode, so stay tuned for that info. But in the meantime, sometimes things end in ways that we don't like, ways that are unpleasant. And despite having hope for a situation or trying our best and giving it all we've got, we end up disappointed with the outcome. We get our hearts broken and we struggle to understand so many things like, why did this happen? What can I have done different or better? Why don't I feel like I know the whole truth? What did I miss along this journey? Why does it hurt so much? Why does it feel like I am never going to get over this? What's wrong with me? In the search for answers to those questions, we come upon the idea of closure. And one of the reasons why we chase closure is because, well, we don't actually like to think about or talk about loss. And while losses sometimes get easier to deal with over time, they don't always. And depending on what the loss is, it may never go away completely. That's just how life goes. But there is still this strange stigma around admitting when we're sad, that we're struggling, even though we are trying to move on and do the things that we need to do to be better. We can still miss certain things that are gone from our lives. It is especially difficult when that thing you miss is something that everybody knows, including you, that was not good for you, that you are better off without. Listen, you can miss someone or something and absolutely not ever want them back or even anywhere near you ever again. But think about how difficult that is to explain to someone else. We can barely talk about it to ourselves, for goodness sake. So instead of talking about it or even just processing it internally, we shove it off into a corner and have this ping pong match with ourselves or our friends, hoping that the ball of grief and discomfort just gets flung off somewhere that we don't have to think about it for a minute. Sometimes we do it for a long time and we have to find other sources of pain relief because the grief is still there. There's not a start and finish line. There never is with grief. It's not a linear process. You don't just flip a page on the calendar and say, oh, okay, today is my last day to be sad about the ex who left me for the babysitter's mailman's cousin or whatever. And because we all know that staying in a stage of grief is not healthy for us mentally or physically. I mean, broken heart syndrome is an actual real thing, after all. We decide that maybe, just maybe, closure is the pain relief we are looking for, and so we open the door to it, not thinking about how what's behind that door is actually the last thing that we should be looking to invite back in. We tell ourselves, well, maybe if I start this conversation with the person, I can get some answers. Maybe if I knew the reasons why this happened, it'll stop hurting. Maybe if I can figure out what they truly want and be that thing, they will regret their decision and want us back. Maybe if I show them how much what they did really hurt me, they will try to make it up to me somehow. There's really no other way to say this, so I'm just going to come out and say it. All of this, all lies. Closure itself is a lie. It comes from a place of powerlessness. We think that we can only move on with an explanation, or if that other person really understands the damage that they did. Friends, the person knows what they did. They have known the whole time. They did it anyway. If how you felt about it didn't matter to them then, why do you think it would matter to them now? And secondly, regarding the explanation part, what is tied up in us getting that? Our recovery? Are we really putting our recovery, our healing, in someone else's hands? The hell we are absolutely not. Here's why. Even if you did get that explanation, does it change anything? Does it go back in time somehow and before the painful event that happened and just erase it from existence? Of course not. So there's that. But there is also this, which may be even more important for you to consider. Even if that other person gives you the closure that you want, the explanation for why they did what they did, how do you know it's the truth? You don't. If you think that people won't lie to you about the real reasons why they are ending a relationship with you of any kind, then you'd be mistaken. If everyone told the whole truth and nothing but the truth, you would never ever hear the words, "It's not you, it's me," or "You're too nice," or "I don't want to be in a relationship right now." All of those are common lies that people tell when ending a relationship because they don't want to add insult to injury, basically. To complicate things, sometimes they'll give you reasons that sound like a truth, but it's not. It's their opinion. A perfect example of this would be the ever-popular line used in a dumping of, "You're too needy and demanding." According to who? Is there a handbook on exactly what the neediness scale is in a relationship? What about being too demanding? Where does that line go? Where do you cross it from being reasonable to being too much? Spoiler, there isn't a line and there isn't a handbook. This is just a way to blame you for what they did so that they can feel better. And look, real talk here. People always have preferences, so maybe that's just theirs. It's an incompatibility. Maybe sometimes people really don't have capacity for relationships or other things, but that's something that they should, tell you up front, or as soon as they figure it out and not keep stringing you along. Either way, that's an incompatibility too. So it's not a flaw on your part. And that is, I think, something that people really must understand. Is it really that you are too needy and demanding? Or is it that they are just less invested than you are? Or that they have different expectations on what a relationship entails? So what does this closure then do for you? For most people, it causes them to overcorrect themselves because now somebody just told you that you are too much and you have accepted that as fact. Your self-esteem is shot, and now you are continuously toning down who you are or pressing the mute button on your own authenticity because of basically someone else's opinion. I don't have to tell you why this is terrible for your mental health, right? You will never get your needs met this way. And really, it's because one person couldn't handle you at full volume. On a personal note, I am very happily married now. But during the time that I wasn't, I got told I was too lots of things, often. I've gotten too short, too chatty, too loud, too nice, too affectionate, too honest, too sensitive, too smart, too funny, too adulty, and I could go on, but I won't because the list is long. And actually, I've been told those things in some friendships too. The point is, all of those things that those people have told me I'm too much of, others have told me that they absolutely love about me. It's what makes me me. And coming to that realization was literally life-changing. It made me sit up and take notice. It turned out that I didn't need to tone down or mute a damn thing. I was just giving out too much authenticity to the wrong people. This is why whenever someone has told me I'm too much of something, I have politely, or maybe not so politely, told them to go find less. And I have immediately known that it was time to close that door, because friends, most of us work very hard to be the best versions of ourselves we can be. We push through struggles and pain and whatever we have to just to be here in some cases. I, for one, am not about to pretend I'm less of anything. You shouldn't either. So, listen, the illusion of closure is just another thing that gets in the way of our own healing journey. The more we chase it, the more we are avoiding the uncomfortable emotions that we need to acknowledge exist. What we feel, we will heal, friends. And our obsession with culture, our obsession with closure in today's culture, and that search for a hidden meaning is very often just a subconscious attempt to run away from the truth. And that truth is the way that people leave you and their relationship with you, the way that they exit your life, and what they do on the way out. That tells you everything that you need to know right there. That's all the closure you need, because it speaks volumes about how they truly feel about you. The real closure is going to come from you and the clarity that you get from paying attention to those actions. Be sure to look at it through a realistic lens and not one that is colored by what you wish had happened or who you wanted that person to be, etc. People will show you who they really are with no filter so many times throughout the course of a relationship sometimes. But we miss those signs because we want our eyes to fool us. We want people to be an embodiment of who we think they are. But so often they're just not those people. And that's okay for them. When it's not okay for you, you have to realize that whatever their exit performance was, there it is, right there. That disrespect is your closure. That person deceiving you or stringing you along for their benefit alone is your closure. Someone deciding for whatever reason that they don't want to be with you or be your friend or whatever they are is your closure. Someone ghosting you and just not speaking to you anymore because they are tired of dealing with their own guilt, there's some more of your closure. That's all the closure you need from them. It doesn't even require picking up the phone and calling them or texting them or sending them smoke signals or anything. The rest comes from you, right from in here, from within. You making a real effort to keep a relationship going even when the other person wasn't participating, that's your closure. You showing up with kindness and integrity and authenticity, that's your closure. You showing up for someone time and time again when they didn't deserve it, that's your closure. You doing the right thing by someone no matter what, that's your closure. That's all the closure that you need. Put it all in a book, fill those pages, close it, put it on a shelf. Then, when you're ready, put it in a pile to take out with whatever else you don't need anymore either. You'd be surprised how much lighter your load will be when you realize that this thing that you think you need so badly doesn't even really exist. It's a fantasy. It's not even like a fun one. So that should make it really easy for you to snap out of that idea of closure and snap back into living your best life, because you deserve that, and so does your future self. That's all I've got for you this week. I'll be back next week with another priority message. Until then, take good care of yourselves. Bye.